there are a couple of key points that we tackled as part of our entrance into this market, and we'll talk a little bit more about who's involved in terms of the players from our organization perspective, and then what the solution is. But really, what are we trying to accomplish here as an organization? So the first and foremost is really we're trying to provide a scalable cloud-based platform that's a very modern interface and interaction for the next generation of grower. And the next interaction as well with the ag retailer with that grower. As you guys have probably seen with your kids or even yourselves as well, application-centric type uses such as using your phones to be able to get information, to look information up is just becoming so much more widespread. So a mobility perspective is really becoming more critical. And then also the ability to scale to a cloud platform to be able to basically take and when you're actually going in season, for example, and you have a large spike in orders, being able to keep up with the order demand requirements that you have from a technology perspective is really what a cloud platform provides. And then it also allows you to basically work in many different areas, right? You don't have to be at your desk to be able to look up information. You can just walk over to another computer or phone or whatever device it is and access that information very quickly and easily. So we wanted to create a platform that uses those concepts really as the foundation of an agricultural-based solution. But what we also wanted to do is not just focus on the technology, right? And once you start focusing too much on that, you lose the realized output of what you're doing with that, which is really having actionable data to make business decisions. So when it comes to, for example, reporting and visibility, we wanted to keep that as part of one of the core tenets of our agricultural-based solution, so that way we are able to provide that data very effectively and easily. And what we want to also be able to do is build trust and timely and accurate service basically to growers, because we want to be able to provide this information as part of our platform with not just you as an organization, but start looking at opening up how you share that information with your growers and with also your suppliers. And then also start looking at automation as well throughout this process. So, when you look at a new system, there's a lot of complexity that people look at with it. How can we make that easier for you? So automation is one of those key components that makes it so that you can, for example, in a process where you're generating a proposal that becomes a contract, maybe you just have it automatically go through and generate that particular contract at a certain status. We have all these types of tools that are available for us to build that automation to match your business requirements. And then lastly, integrations, right? In agriculture, there are so many different integrations that are out there that we want to tackle and that we do tackle, so that if you start looking at John Deere financials or whatever integration aspect you have or requirement you have, we have a technology layer that allows for us to easily do the integration between systems to then support your business. And the question is, how are we able to do that, right? Because a lot of agricultural specific solutions that are out there are really built from the ground up, where they don't have what we would classify as a platform. They build it from the ground up, their financials and all of that. Why they do that, I still don't know. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to do this differently. So we tackled it by approaching the base capabilities really with Microsoft Dynamics. So, and what are the reasons why we used Microsoft Dynamics to start off with this? And really, if you don't know what Dynamics is basically the business software solutions that Microsoft provides for general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, warehouse, manufacturing, all those different types of business process related problems that you typically need a software solution to support. And the reason we chose this is because really, if you could argue that Microsoft really designs some of the best platform-based technologies in the world. You probably already use Microsoft Windows, you probably use Office in some capacity as well, and you probably use Office 365 365 for Exchange, SharePoint, and some of those other technologies as well. And it's a really solid platform for us to be able to take things that have already been thought out very well. For example, general ledger hasn't really changed in the last 20, 30 years, but being able to take those technologies and reuse them and then build the agricultural specific capabilities were very appealing to us. There's also obviously a large track record with Microsoft in terms of their support of their systems. So you may be running Dynamics on the back end already. GP is very common for a lot of agricultural based companies. But you may already have those types of technologies and those investments, and you want to basically use those as part of really your business strategy. And then the other aspect of this is that when we start talking about a community to be able to help you, agriculture is a very tight-knit family, right? We all know each other and we all talk to each other with it. But at the same point, when it comes to technology, there's not really a central community around that that has a common language. And that's a barrier in some ways when you're trying to share ideas as part of it. So in our environment, we obviously have a very expansive community within Microsoft, within Dynamics even, that knows how to make changes to the application and support it. And then lastly, when we start talking about what innovation is occurring, and we're going to share this as we go through the presentation today, in the last 4 years, so I've been in the industry now for about 22 plus years, the last 4 years have had more progress and speed on the development of new functionality, of new platforms, and of new capabilities than I've ever seen in my entire career. So the speed of innovation, which is a word that's used quite often, right? But at this point, it really is true. The speed and vision of where we're going really matters as part of this. And the key thing here is, where did we come from? So why would we choose Dynamics really as a platform that's related to it? So we've got a story that I kind of want to go through at a high level here to start. But really, it all started at Microsoft. So as you can see on the screen here, we have Becky Newell, we have Eric Newell, and we have Cody Marshall, who are the founders of a company called Stoneridge Software. And really what happened here is that all three of these individuals worked at Microsoft in varying capacities. One worked in, for example, the escalations department as a manager. The other worked as a developer, and the other was more of a functional and business process consultant, being able to help obviously with Microsoft Dynamics. And really what happened is that they came together and said, you know what, there's got to be a better way to implement software solutions. And they left Microsoft and founded Stoneridge Software. Now, Stoneridge Software would take Microsoft Dynamics and implement it at manufacturers, at distributors, at all these different types of companies. And really, all of us came from a farm background. And so we look at, for example, Becky Newell. Her family actually owns a farm and they continue to operate it today. I personally came from the McHenry, North Dakota area, the Frappier family, where we have a lot of farmers and growers in that area as well. And my dad was actually a farmer as well with his father. So in our DNA, we had a lot of expertise or passion, excuse me, towards the Midwest farmer type mentality. And so what we decided to do after a period of time is form a company called Levridge. Levridge is where we focus then on the agricultural specific functionality that we add to the Dynamics platform. So really what we saw here is that we saw that there were a ton of ag retailers, for example, that were out there that were using homegrown or old on-prem systems. There's a lot of consolidation that was happening in the market. There's clients and prospects basically that were looking for a more modern option. And when we look at the competition that was out there, no one was building something on an existing platform. They were all doing it from the ground up, which really, if you have a wheel, why reinvent it? It doesn't make sense in a lot of areas. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to take this and build a robust solution that allowed for us to to target, for example, ag retailers and co-ops to start, but then expand off to processors because we're taking grain and then doing something with it as part of that other process or product process. And we have all those capabilities then within Dynamics to be able to expand that. And then what we also wanted to be able to do with Levridge is really focus on the industry. So from a Stoneridge perspective, we were horizontal, as we would call it, where we cross multiple industries. But in ag, we wanted to understand splits. We wanted to understand how you go through the proposal and planning process, how contracts influence pricing, for example. And really, the final portion of it is that we really had a passion for it. One of the things that our CEO, Eric Newell, has constantly stated is that he loves to pursue things that are hard. And we are all of that same mentality. We like to tackle things that are complex and hard to make it easier and more impactful for the industries that we really serve. And so really, here's an example right here of from Stone Age to the cloud. This is an existing customer that we have that was using these types of capabilities, as you can see on the far left from a green screen perspective, that moved into basically a cloud-based modern environment, which is the Levridge solution that you see on the right. So it's a pretty cool thing to be part of a group of people that are tackling this, and that is how the Stoneridge and Levridge capabilities really came to fruition as part of our growth as an organization.